start a business, they choose to organize themselves in some form of a legal entity. So, if you're going to be a corporation or an LLC, something you have to do is you have to follow certain rules and practices and observe certain formalities on an ongoing basis. Now, corporations are generally viewed to be a more formal type of entity than a limited liability company, and I think that's true. But there are good reasons to at least follow a very basic set of formalities, even if you're an LLC. So, why is it important to do this? Why is it important to do all these things? The issue of whether you have appropriately followed certain formalities with respect to your business, and whether you have really treated your business as an entity separate and distinct from yourself, like having a separate bank account, are factors that courts consider when we talk about this concept of piercing the shield or piercing the corporate veil. And what that really means is piercing, doing away with that asset protection benefit that Todd mentioned earlier, that is one of the main reasons that we form LLCs and corporations in the first place. So the takeaway from that is, if you have a business or you're considering starting a business and you're organized as a corporation or an LLC, and like many entrepreneurs and business owners, you maybe haven't done the best job of keeping up with, say, having annual minutes, or maybe having annual meetings, or keeping your minutes up, or maybe even not having a written shareholders agreement or operating agreement. It's really a good idea to address that. And this is one of the important reasons, so that you don't lose the benefit of that asset protection and have your personal assets subject to the liabilities of your business or your company. There's an even perhaps better reason. Todd touched on this before. A lot of investors prefer that you be organized as a particular type of company, but even more than that, if you're hoping and expecting to have an exit someday, like these guys that have sold businesses here, it is customary for a company or a group that is considering buying your business to do due diligence and check your company records. So even if you don't have a big worry that the creditors of your business may try to somehow come and take your own assets, if you were ever thinking that you may need to raise money or have an exit event, it's just better to keep your records up to date and current, so that when this due diligence process starts with somebody that may be buying your business, you've got it all ready to go, and you can just say, here's my minute book, here's a record of our meetings, here's a list of the people that own the company and how much, and here's our signed operating agreement, or here's our signed shareholders agreement, or something like that. So those are just good reasons why there's some basic formalities everybody should follow, whether you're an LLC or a corporation. The interesting thing is that, as compared to corporations, LLCs have not been around as long. Therefore, when cases come before the courts, a lot of times judges are still applying corporation law to LLCs, and that includes with respect to veil piercing. That's right. So, best practices. When you create your business, just draw some organizational minutes. Who owns the company? Who's going to be a manager of the company or officers of the company? That sort of thing. The company is allowed to open a bank account. The company has accepted, certain contributions in exchange for these ownership interests. These are just very basic things that an organizational minutes to have a written operating agreement or shareholder agreement. We talked about that already. Keep a current minute book, and it can be a virtual minute book. It can be a folder on Dropbox, but just keep all your corporate records in one place that you can get to them easily. Hold annual meetings and keep minutes. That's even if you're one person. If you're a single owner entity, why am I going to have a meeting with myself? It's for the reasons that we just talked about. Just sit down and prepare a one-page document. You don't need me or a lawyer to do this. Prepare a one-page document in January each year that just kind of talks about here's what happened with the company next year, and stick it in this either physical or virtual minute book. Keep a ledger. This is more appropriate for multi-owner companies. Just be sure you've got a current record of who the owners are. A lot of times, owners come and go, people transfer interests, things like that. You want to make sure that that's always current and written down. It can be a very difficult situation if somebody comes out of the woodwork, years down the road claiming that they are a partner of your business because these records got confusing. And then vote and prepare a resolution for all major decisions. That's like buying land, buying a vehicle, hiring somebody, taking on investment, things like that. If you've got multiple owners, it's good to just make sure you take a vote, record the date, record what the vote was. So that's kind of the basic primer on what company formalities I think are important and why.